At my son's school play, my fiancée raised her glass and said, "At least my kids have talent." Guests chuckled. Her mom turned to me and added, "Some women just make the wrong choices." I stayed quiet. Then my 12-year-old son stood up and asked, "Is the thing you did with the account still a secret?" At my son's school play, my fiancée raised her glass and said, "At least my kids have talent." Guests chuckled. Her mother, sitting across from me in a pearl necklace and a smile sharp enough to cut skin, turned her wine glass slowly between two fingers and added, "Some women just make the wrong choices." Everyone knew what she meant. She meant my ex-wife. She meant my son. She meant me. I stayed quiet. Not because I was weak. Not because I agreed. Not because I did not feel my 12-year-old son Noah stiffen beside me like someone had poured ice water down his back. I stayed quiet because I had spent my entire adult life learning how not to explode in public. When you are a flight attendant, you learn to smile through panic. You learn to calm down angry passengers, comfort crying children, and keep your voice steady when the plane drops suddenly and everyone around you gasps. You learn that sometimes control is not loud. Sometimes control is swallowing the first thing you want to say and waiting for the right moment. But Noah was 12. He had not learned that yet. He pushed his chair back. The legs scraped against the cafeteria floor so loudly that half the room turned. My fiancée, Celeste, still smiling from her little toast, froze with the glass halfway to her mouth. Noah looked at her. Then he looked at her mother. His face was pale, but his voice did not shake. "Is the thing you did with the account still a secret?" The room went silent. Not quiet. Silent. The kind of silence you hear at 30,000 feet when a baby stops crying at the same time, the engines seem to fade, and everyone suddenly remembers they are sitting in a metal tube in the sky. Celeste lowered her glass. "What?" she said. Noah glanced at me then, and I saw something in his eyes that made my stomach turn. Fear, not confusion, not embarrassment. "Fear, Dad," he whispered. "I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to say anything." I turned to Celeste. "What account?" Her mother, Barbara, sat up straighter. "Noah," Barbara said, using that sweet, rotten voice she saved for waiters and children, "this is not the time for one of your little stories." My son asked a question, I said. Celeste laughed. "It was thin and fake and desperate." "Oh my God, Maurice. He probably means the school activity account. You know how kids hear half a conversation and invent the rest." Noah shook his head. "No, the one with Dad's name on it." My fingers curled around the edge of the table. Around us, parents from the drama club, teachers, and kids still in stage makeup stared like they had accidentally walked into the wrong performance. Celeste's two children, Ava and Mason, sat on either side of their grandmother, still wearing their costumes from the play. Ava had been the lead. Mason had played the prince. Noah had been stage crew because Celeste said he didn't have presents, and I had not pushed back hard enough because Noah told me he liked working the lights. That was the first lie I told myself that night. The second was that this could still be handled calmly. "Celeste," I said, keeping my voice low. "What account?" Her eyes flashed. "Not guilt yet. Anger. Maurice, do not do this here." "Funny," I said. "That is exactly what you should have thought before insulting my son, in front of half his school." A murmur moved through the tables. Barbara put her wine glass down. "Do not speak to my daughter like that," she snapped, "especially not after everything she has done for you." Everything she had done for me. That almost made me laugh. Because for 3 years, I had believed I was building a family with Celeste. I had believed that loving her meant loving her children too. I had flown red eyes from Madrid to New York, London to Dubai, Paris to Chicago, smiling at strangers, while my feet throbbed and my back ached, because every extra route meant more money toward the house we were supposed to buy after the wedding. I had paid for Ava's dance lessons because Celeste said her ex was useless. I had paid for Mason's speech therapy because a real man steps up. I had covered groceries, school uniforms, dental appointments, car repairs, and most of the rent on a townhouse that was in Celeste's name, because she said changing the lease before marriage was bad luck. And all the while, Noah watched. Quietly. Too quietly. Too quietly. His mother, Danielle, had left when he was 7. Not dramatically. Not with screaming or slammed doors. She simply decided motherhood felt too small and moved across the country with a photographer she met at a retreat. She sent birthday cards twice, then stopped pretending. So Noah had already learned what it felt like to be chosen last. I had promised myself I would never let him feel that way again. Then I met Celeste. She was beautiful, organized, charming in the way people are charming when they know exactly who is watching. She worked as an events coordinator and could turn a messy church hall into a wedding venue with 3 phone calls and a box of white candles. When we first started dating, she loved that I was a flight attendant. "You are so calm," she used to say, leaning against my kitchen counter while I packed for another trip. "Most men are chaos. You bring peace." She said she admired how I raised Noah alone. She said she loved watching me braid Ava's hair before school when Celeste was running late. She said Mason needed a male role model and that I was the first safe man her kids had known. I ate those words like a starving man. I wanted to be needed. That was my weakness. Not money, not loneliness, need. By the second year, Celeste had moved from admiration to expectation. At first, it was small things. "Can you grab groceries? I forgot my card. Can you pay the drama club fee? I'll send you half Friday. Can you cover mom's prescription this month? She's embarrassed to ask." Friday never came. Half never came. Half never came. Embarrassment never stopped Barbara from asking again. Then came the joint savings account. Celeste called it our future fund. We opened it 8 months after the engagement. The plan was simple. I would deposit most of my extra flight pay, bonuses, and per diem savings. Celeste would add what she could after covering her kids' expenses. The money would go toward our wedding and a down payment on a house big enough for all 3 children. I put in the first $10,000. Celeste cried. "You make me feel safe," she said. I believed her. By the night of Noah's school play, that account should have had just over $68,000. I knew because I kept a spreadsheet on my laptop like the boring, responsible man Celeste sometimes teased me for being. Or so I thought. At the cafeteria table, with paper stars hanging from the ceiling and children still running around with painted cheeks, I pulled out my phone. Celeste reached across the table and put her hand over mine. "Please," she whispered. "Not here." That was when I knew. In my job, you learn to read faces fast. A passenger saying, "I'm fine," while gripping the armrest until their knuckles whiten. A man joking with security, while sweat gathers above his lip. A woman smiling too brightly while trying not to cry. Celeste had the face of someone watching the mask slip. I removed her hand from mine. "Unlock your phone," she hissed. "I don't need to." I opened my banking app. The loading circle spun. 1 second, 2, 3, then the balance appeared. $9,418.22. For a moment, I did not breathe. The cafeteria blurred slightly at the edges. I heard a teacher laugh nervously somewhere behind me. I heard Noah sniff once and look down at his shoes. $68,000 had become $9,000. I clicked transactions. Transfer. B. Whitmore Consulting. $7,500. Transfer. B. Whitmore Consulting. $4,000. Transfer. Celeste Personal. $3,200. Payment Avenue Youth Theater. $5,850. Payment Lux Bridal Atelier. $8,900. Transfer B. Whitmore Consulting. $6,000. Payment Premier Talent Coaching. $4,400. One after another. My money bleeding out in neat digital lines. Barbara Whitmore was Celeste's mother. Barbara had no consulting business. She had a condo she could not afford, a taste for expensive wine, and a lifelong talent for making other people feel small. I looked up slowly. Barbara's face had gone gray beneath her makeup. Celeste whispered, "Maurice, I can explain." Noah spoke before I could. "I heard them talking," he said. "At home, Grandma Barbara said you wouldn't notice because you're always flying. Celeste said, after the wedding, it wouldn't matter because it would be family money anyway." A sound went through the room. Someone gasped. Ava started crying softly, confused and humiliated. Mason stared at his plate. Celeste snapped, "Noah, stop lying." That did it. That one sentence broke the last thin wire holding me together. I stood. The chair behind me tipped backward and hit the floor. "No, I said. My voice was quiet. Too quiet. No, Celeste. You do not call my son a liar. Not tonight. Not after you stole from me. Not after you sat there and toasted your children by humiliating mine. Her eyes filled with tears instantly. I had seen those tears before. They arrived fast, whenever rent was due, whenever I questioned a charge, whenever Noah needed something that interfered with her children's schedule. Maurice, please, she said. I was going to tell you. When? After things calmed down. What things? She looked around at all the staring faces, then lowered her voice. Ava needed coaching. Mason needed help. Mom was behind on bills. The wedding deposits were more than expected. I handled it. You handled it. I did what was best for the family. I laughed once. There was no humor in it. What family? Celeste. The family where my son gets mocked, while my paycheck pays for everyone else to shine. Barbara pushed back her chair. You are being vulgar, she said. I turned to her. You are lucky vulgar is all I am being. She recoiled like I had slapped her. For 3 years, Barbara had treated me like hired help with a debit card. She called my job serving snacks in the sky. She asked if I ever planned to get a real career. She once told Celeste, loudly enough for me to hear, that flight attendants were basically waiters with passports. And I had smiled because I wanted peace, because I loved Celeste, because I thought enduring disrespect was the price of keeping a blended family together. But peace built on silence is not peace. It is a cage. I picked up my chair, set it right, and turned to Noah. Get your jacket. His eyes filled with tears. Dad, I'm sorry. I knelt in front of him, right there, in front of everyone. You have nothing to be sorry for. But I ruined? No. I held his shoulders. You told the truth. That never ruins anything worth keeping. Celeste stood too. Maurice, don't take him and walk out like this. I looked at the ring on her finger, the diamond I had bought after saving for 14 months. She had wanted something elegant, but not small. I had wanted to see her happy. Now it looked like evidence. We're done, I said. Her mouth opened, closed. You then opened again. You don't mean that. I do. You would throw away 3 years over money? No, I said. I'm ending 3 years because I finally understand what the money was buying. Her face hardened. And what is that supposed to mean? It means I was never your partner. I was your airline miles, your emergency fund, your children's sponsor, your mother's retirement plan, and the man you tolerated as long as I stayed useful. The room was so quiet I could hear the hum of the vending machine against the wall. Celeste whispered, You are embarrassing me. I looked at Noah. He was 12 years old, standing in a cafeteria while adults stared at him because he had been braver than I was. Then I looked back at her. Good. I took Noah home that night, not to Celeste's townhouse, to the airport hotel near my crew base. We stopped by the townhouse only long enough for me to pack 2 suitcases, Noah's school bag, his laptop, and the model airplane collection he kept on the shelf above his desk. Celeste followed me from room to room, crying, begging, then insulting me when begging did not work. You're overreacting. You're punishing my kids. You know Ava sees you as a father. You are going to destroy this family because your son got dramatic. At that, Noah flinched from the doorway. I zipped the suitcase slowly. Say one more word about my son, I said, and the next conversation we have will be through an attorney. Celeste's tears stopped, like someone had turned off a tap. There she was. The real Celeste, cold, calculating, furious that the performance had failed. You won't do anything, she said. You hate conflict. I looked at her, and for the first time in 3 years, I saw how carefully she had studied me. She knew I apologized first. She knew I avoided scenes. She knew I worked extra hours instead of arguing. She knew I had a soft spot for children, wounded people, abandoned people, people who said they needed me. She knew all of it. And she had used every piece. You're right, I said. I hate conflict. She crossed her arms, victorious, for half a second. Then I added, but I hate thieves more. The next morning, I did 4 things. First, I froze the account. Second, I called the bank and requested full transaction records, access logs, and copies of authorization changes. Third, I canceled every wedding payment I could still cancel. Fourth, I contacted a lawyer. By noon, Celeste had called me 27 times. Barbara called 14. I answered neither. By evening, Celeste switched tactics and sent a long message. Maurice, I know you're hurt, but you need to think about the children. Ava has a performance next month. Mason's coaching is already paid for. You cannot just disappear. We built a life together. I made choices for us. Maybe I should have communicated better, but this is not theft. It is family. I read it twice. Then I showed Noah. Not because I wanted to drag him into adult problems, but because I needed him to see something I had learned too late. Manipulation often sounds like love when it wants something from you. He read the message and handed the phone back. She didn't say sorry, he said. No, I said. She didn't. For the next week, the story spread. Parents from the school whispered. Teachers pretended not to know. Celeste posted vague quotes online about betrayal and men who abandoned children they claimed to love. Barbara commented under every post with broken heart emojis and lines about a mother's pain. I said nothing publicly. I kept working. That week, I flew Madrid to Miami to Madrid, then Madrid to Rome and back. I smiled through boarding, served coffee, helped an elderly man lift his bag, calmed a nervous teenager during turbulence, and locked myself in the aircraft lavatory once for exactly 30 seconds just to breathe. Then I came home to the hotel room where Noah was doing homework at the desk, wearing my airline sweatshirt because he said it smelled like me. That nearly broke me. I'm sorry we're here, I told him. He shrugged without looking up. It's quiet. You miss your room? Kind of. You miss them? He thought about it. I miss who I thought they were. I sat on the edge of the bed. That was the thing about children. Adults dressed truth up in excuses because truth made us ashamed. Children just placed it on the table. 2 weeks later, the bank investigation gave me the proof. Celeste had not merely transferred money. She had added Barbara as a vendor under a fake consulting label using a digital authorization form with my typed signature. She had also changed the notification email on the savings account to an address I did not recognize. Not a mistake. Not family spending. Fraud. My lawyer, a calm woman named Priya, who wore navy suits and spoke like every sentence had already been admitted into evidence, slid the documents across her desk. You have options, she said. Civil recovery, criminal complaint, demand letter first, if you prefer. I looked at the papers, at my name typed by someone else, at the account I had built mile by mile, trip by trip, missed weekend by missed weekend. And I thought about Celeste raising that glass. At least my kids have talent. I thought about Barbara saying some women make the wrong choices. I thought about Noah standing up, terrified, because the adults at the table had decided his humiliation was acceptable, but their secret deserved protection. File the complaint, I said. Priya nodded once. Good. Celeste stopped posting inspirational quotes after the first letter arrived. Then came the calls from people who had suddenly discovered nuance. Her brother messaged me. Come on, man. Criminal charges? That's extreme. A mutual friend wrote, I know what she did was wrong, but maybe don't ruin her life. Barbara left a voicemail I listened to only because Priya told me to save everything. You selfish little man, Barbara hissed. After my daughter let you into her life with your baggage and your awkward little boy, this is how you repay her? You should be ashamed. You were never good enough for her. I saved it. Then I made dinner for Noah. Grilled cheese and tomato soup, because that was what we could manage in the small apartment I had rented near his school after leaving the hotel. It had 2 bedrooms, a balcony just wide enough for 2 chairs, and airplanes passing overhead every few minutes. Noah loved it. He started tracking flights with an app, guessing which routes I might work someday. Dad, he said, one night, pointing at a plane blinking red against the evening sky, do you ever get tired of leaving? I leaned against the balcony rail. Yes. Then why do you do it? I thought about giving him the responsible answer. Bills. Health insurance. Stability. Instead, I told him the truth. Because every time I leave, I know I'm coming back to you. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he leaned against my side. Good. The fallout took months. Celeste tried to claim the money had been shared household funds. The documents did not agree. The fake authorization did not agree. The altered notification email did not agree. The transfers to Barbara's non-existent consulting business definitely did not agree. When confronted, Barbara folded first. People like Barbara were brave only when they thought shame could be aimed outward. Under legal pressure, she admitted Celeste had asked her to receive the funds temporarily because Maurice was controlling about money. Controlling. That word made me laugh when Priya read it aloud. I'd been so controlling that I did not even know my own savings account had been drained. Eventually, Celeste agreed to a repayment plan to avoid the worst consequences. The engagement ring was returned and sold. The wedding venue refund went directly back to me. Barbara had to repay a portion from the condo money she had been hiding. I did not get everything back. People like Celeste rarely leave the table without taking something. But I got enough. More importantly, I got out. 3 months after the school play, Noah had a drama showcase. He almost did not sign up. "I'm not good like Ava," he muttered one night while pretending not to care. I closed my laptop. "Who told you that?" He shrugged. No answer. Which was an answer. So I did something I should have done long before. I rearranged my schedule, traded a Rome layover with another attendant, and spent every evening for 2 weeks helping him rehearse a monologue about a boy building a lighthouse during a storm. The first few times he rushed through the lines like he wanted to escape them. Then slowly, his voice changed. He stood taller. He stopped apologizing when he made mistakes. On the night of the showcase, he walked onto the stage in a simple blue sweater. No costume, no spotlight tricks, no expensive coaching. Just my son. His hands trembled at first. Then he looked out at the audience and found me. I gave him the smallest nod. He began. By the end, the room was silent in a different way from the night Celeste was exposed. This silence was not shock. It was attention. When Noah delivered the final line, "A light does not ask permission to shine," his voice filled the auditorium. For 1 second, no one moved. Then the applause came. Real applause. Not polite, not forced. Real. Noah looked stunned. Then he smiled. I had seen my son smile 1,000 times. But that one was different. That one had weight behind it. Like some door inside him had opened, and he had realized the room beyond was his. Afterward, his drama teacher shook my hand. "He has something special," she said. I swallowed hard. "Yes," I said, "he does." As we walked to the car, Noah held his certificate against his chest. "Dad, yeah, was I good? I stopped under the parking lot light." "You were brave," I said. "That matters more. But yes, you were good." He grinned. For the first time in months, I felt something loosen in my chest. A week later, Celeste appeared outside my apartment building. I had just come back from a Lisbon flight. My uniform jacket was over my arm, my suitcase wheels clicking behind me. She stood near the entrance, wearing sunglasses even though the sky was cloudy. She looked smaller, not humble, just smaller. "Maurice," she said. I stopped several feet away. "How did you get this address?" Her lips tightened. "Barbara saw Noah with you near the school." "Of course she did. What do you want?" She removed her sunglasses. Her eyes were red, but I did not trust red eyes anymore. "Ava asks about you." I said nothing. Mason, too. Still nothing. "They don't understand why you left." "I didn't leave them," I said. "I left you. They're children. They don't know the difference." That hit where she meant it to hit. She saw it and stepped closer. "They miss you. And I know you miss them. You were good with them, Maurice. Better than their own father. Are you really going to punish them forever because I made a mistake?" There it was again, a mistake. As if she had spilled coffee. As if she had forgotten a birthday. As if she had not forged my name and stolen money while letting her mother mock my child. "I hope Ava and Mason are okay." I said, "I mean that." Celeste's face softened, thinking she had found the crack. "But I am not their father," I continued, "and I will not let you use them as a rope to pull me back into a burning house." Her expression changed. "You sound different." "I am different." "No," she said bitterly. "You're colder." I thought about that. Maybe I was. Or maybe warmth, without boundaries, had just looked like weakness from her side of the room. "I am healthier," I said. She laughed once, cruelly. "And Noah? Is he healthier too?" Growing up without a mother and now without siblings, my hand tightened around my suitcase handle. A year ago, that sentence would have made me defend myself, Explain. Beg her not to say things like that. Try to prove I was a good man. Now I only looked at her. Noah is growing up with one parent who chooses him every day. That is more than many children get in a house full of people. She had no answer, so she went for the last weapon. You'll be alone, Maurice. I nodded. Sometimes. That doesn't scare you? It used to. And now, I looked up at my apartment window. The light was on. Noah was inside, probably eating cereal directly from the box, even though I told him not to. Probably working on homework with music too loud, probably safe. No, I said. Now I know the difference between being alone and being surrounded by people who drain you dry. Celeste stared at me for a long time. Then she put her sunglasses back on. You'll regret this. I unlocked the building door. No, I said. I already regret enough. I went upstairs. Noah was in fact eating cereal from the box. He froze when I walked in. I can explain. I laughed for real. It surprised both of us. Put it in a bowl, criminal. He grinned and ran to the kitchen. Life did not become perfect after that. Stories make freedom sound like a door you walk through once. In reality, freedom is a door you choose not to walk back through every day. There were lonely nights. There were bills. There were awkward conversations with Noah when he admitted he still felt guilty for speaking up at the play. There were moments when I missed the chaos of a full house, even though that chaos had been killing me slowly. But there were also Saturday mornings with pancakes. There were movie nights where nobody made Noah feel weird for quoting every line. There were quiet dinners where my money stayed mine, my son's voice mattered, and no one raised a glass to make us smaller. I learned to say no without writing a 5-paragraph apology afterward. I learned that generosity without discernment is not kindness. It is self-abandonment. I learned that being calm does not mean accepting disrespect. And Noah learned something too. He learned that telling the truth can shake a room. He learned that people who love you do not ask you to shrink so their children can shine brighter. He learned that his father would choose him even if the cost was a wedding, a house, a fantasy, and $60,000. 6 months after the school play, I took Noah on one of my employee travel passes to London for a weekend. Nothing extravagant. Cheap hotel, rainy streets, fish and chips wrapped in paper. We rode the top of a red bus, and he pressed his forehead to the glass like he was 5 again. At the airport on the way home, he watched me greet crew members who knew me by name. One of the younger attendants smiled at him. Your dad's a legend on difficult flights, she said. People calm down when Maurice shows up. Noah looked at me with surprise. You never told me that. I shrugged. Not much of a bragging thing. He studied me. Then he said, you should brag sometimes. Maybe he was right. Maybe I had spent too many years being useful quietly, hoping someone would notice without me having to ask. On the plane home, Noah fell asleep with his head against my shoulder before takeoff. I looked out the window as the runway lights stretched into golden lines. For years, I thought family meant holding everything together no matter how badly other people behaved. Now I know better. Family is not the people who demand access to your wallet while laughing at your child. Family is not a woman who calls theft planning and cruelty honesty. Family is not a future built on your silence. Family is the person who stands up in a cafeteria with trembling hands because he cannot bear one more lie. Family is the boy asleep beside me, trusting that when we land, I will still be there. My name is Maurice. I am a flight attendant. I have crossed oceans, calmed strangers, and smiled through storms. But the bravest thing I ever did was not at 30,000 feet. It was walking out of that school cafeteria with my son's hand in mine and finally understanding that some wrong choices are not made by the women who leave. Sometimes the wrong choice is staying too long with people who make you forget your own worth. And I will never make that choice again.